Hello students, welcome to Imus Computer College. I am Miss Joyce Guslatar, your lecturer in Learning Skills 3. So for our third meeting, we will tackle all about effective body language. So what is effective body language? Try several different ways of using your arms, hands, and facial expression. Match your gesture to your words. You should be compelled to gesture and make facial expression when your thoughts require such action. In short, body language must complement and reinforce your words, never overpower them. Okay, so when we say body language, it's all about things of nonverbal communication. So when we say nonverbal communication, it's all about how we do the different ways to said or to say kung ano yung mga bagay na gusto nating sabihin without verbal. So, pwede tayong magparating ng mga mensahe through arms, gesture, hands, gesture, or facial expression. So, kailangan yung gestures natin at yung gusto nating bagay na sabihin ay magmamatch. Okay? So, ano-ano ba yung mga ipapakita ko pa, mga expression or body language sa inyo. So, meron tayong difference body language. So, let's proceed. So now we have non-verbal communication. So ito yung hindi natin ginagamitan ng salita, pero nakakapagpahayag tayo ng gusto nating sabihin through facial expression. Now, ano-ano ba yung facial expression or basic facial expression na pwede ninyong ipakita para malaman kung anong gustong mensahe ang inyong ibibigay. So we have the angry. So kapag angry or galit ang isang tao, makikita mo na agad sa expression nila na galit sila. I know you have experienced this before, na nakakabasa kayo kapag alam ninyong galit ang isang tao. Another, disgust or disgusting. So para hindi nyo gusto yung isang tao, nagdidire or ayaw nyo sa kanila. So nagdi-disgust. Next, fear. Makikita sa mukha o sa expression ng isang tao kapag siya ay natatakot. Next, joy. Dito kasi sa joy medyo magkukuli ka pa or hindi ka sigurado kung totoo nga bang masaya yung kausap mo. Well, ang mga labi kayang ngumiti kahit napipilitan, pero at kayang tumawa kahit napipilitan, pero always look at the eyes of that person kung talaga bang masaya yung tao na yon. Okay? So joy, may dalawa tayo dyan. It's either nagpapanggap na masaya or talagang masaya. All you have to do is to differentiate the eyes of the person. Okay? Doon pa lang mababasa nyo na yan. Next, sadness. Ramdam at kita natin sa expression ng isang tao kapag siya ay malungkot, in pain, may iniisip na malulungkot na bagay na kinalulungkot niya or mga pangyayari sa kanyang ikinalulungkot niya. Lumalabas yan sa mukha ng isang tao, especially kapag pagod. Siyempre kapag pagod tayo, sobrang sad na expression natin. Next, surprise. Of course, dito sa surprise, same lang yan sa joy. Makikita ninyo sa isang tao kapag surprise talaga siya doon sa inyong inihanda. Meron kasing gulat na genuine at meron namang gulat na awkward kasi alam nyo na yung surprise. So, doon pa lang madi-differentiate nyo na. Now, students, I know all of you has experience or nagamit na itong mga expression na to because this is our non-verbal communication. So, di ba, once na may galit tayo sa isang tao or inis tayo sa isang tao at hindi naman natin siya ka-close masyado. Of course, hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihan na galit ako sa'yo, inis ako sa'yo because you don't have any reason. Galit ka lang kasi sa posture niya, sa itsura niya or whatever. So, sa mukha mo makikita pa lang yan kung galit ka, inis ka. Okay? So, that's all for the facial expression. Next, what is the next nonverbal communication? So we had the hand gestures sa kamay. Okay? Ano-ano ba yung mga hand gestures natin? So I have here a example. So we have the thumbs up. We use the thumbs up para approve tayo doon sa ginawa ng tao na yon. We use the down or the thumbs down kapag hindi tayo satisfied or hindi tayo sang-ayon sa ginawa ng tao na yon. We do the come here. Even though we didn't say the come here, we do the sign ng hand gesture na come here para lumapit for the okay. So, pwede din ibig sabihin yan, okay, delicioso or delicious. And next, for the finger cross, we do the finger cross. For me, I do this, like for example, I have a wish or I prayed for something. I do this, the finger cross for the sign of sana. Sana po ganito, sana matupad, sana ganyan. Okay? And you use the one finger up, the stop, the hand gesture timeout, especially we use this sa mga basketball. We use the clap if we adore somebody. We use the sign quiet. We tap our finger to our mouth just to say to everyone na quiet. So dun pa lang, kapag nag-iingay ka at nakita mo na yung sign na ginawa ng person na kaharap mo, ibig sabihin it's sign of quiet. Next point, normally naman kasi hindi naman namin, like for example, hindi ka masyadong kilala or bago ka palang pinopoint ka para malaman na ikaw mismo yung tinuturo. Kasi minsan, yung mga mata, akala natin sa atin nakatingin yung pala sa iba. So may mga ganang eksena. Next is the handshake. So these are the non-verbal communication for hand gesture and marami pang iba. Okay? So ito pa lang yung pinakita ko sa inyong gestures na we don't need a verbal communication para lang maipahayag yung mga ganitong words. Okay. Okay, so we proceed to the non-verbal communication when it comes to eye contact. So makikita nyo, mayroon ako ditong drawing na ipinakita. So first, we have the visual constructed images. And then sa right side naman niya, we have the visual remembered images. Okay, when we say visual, it means by the prepared to see information. So this is also visualized in their head or in your head also. This is like charts, pictures, and map. So like for example, bakit nga ba natin ginagamit sa visual? Ito yung nagbe-visualize sa atin ng image na hindi naman natin talagang actual na nakikita. Bini-visualize natin sa ating mga utak. So like for example, nagvi-visualize or nagko-construct tayo kung paano, dito tayo under the visual constructed image, nagko-construct tayo paano gumawa ng isang mapa or mapa ng Pilipinas. Iisip tayo ngayon ng pwedeng design, pwedeng example, and so on and so forth para makagawa ng mapa ng Pilipinas. Nagvi-visualize tayo ng images. Now, kapag naman sinabi nating visual remembered image, iniisip natin kung ano nga ba ang kulang kasi naaalala na natin siya. Meron na tayong nakikitang picture sa mga isipan natin, na-i-imagine na natin sila. Ngayon, inaalala lang natin yung mga single detailed, okay? So know the difference between the two. Next, we have the constructed sound and remember sound. So kapag sound, ibig sabihin it is tunog. Okay? So like for example, is raining. So kapag constructed sound, iniisip natin, nagko-construct tayo ng different sounds sa isip natin na tutugma doon sa idea na ating ginagawa. So constructed sound. Kapag remembering sound naman, yung mga mata natin, so makikita niyo yung movement ng eyes dito ha. Kapag sinabi natin remembered sound, ito yung kapag binigyan kayo ng example na raining, na-visualize yun na agad sa isipan ninyo kung anong tunog ng ulan. Bus beeping. So when you say bus beeping, na-visualize na natin yung bus kung nagbi-beep ba siya or nagbi-beep siya. Okay, that is for constructed sound and remembering sound. Now, we have the kinesthetic body sensation touch. So when we say kinesthetic, it is about the body movements. Okay, so non-verbal communication, once na kinesthetic, ito sabi ko nga kanina, ito sa body movement. So, as you ever feel, I know that you feel this. So, when you say baba, yung nag-wave kayo ng hand without verbal communication, so gets na agad yun ng taong kausap ninyo na meaning nun ay nagpapaalam. So, that is the kinesthetic body sensation. Okay? Next is the auditory digital. So, it's about the sounds. Alright? So, naiisip agad natin yung mga sinasabi. Like for example, sa radio, na i-imagine na natin yung mga expressions nila due to the auditory digital. Okay? Let's proceed. Positive body language. So now, what is positive body language? A positive body language is a type of non-verbal communication that puts us in the position of comfort, likability, and dignity. Also known as open body language, it helps us be open and approachable to others, helping them feel at ease during interaction or exchange. So now, let's proceed for the spoken language. So ano nga ba yung mga spoken language? A spoken language is a language that produced by articulate sound as opposed to the written language. When you say articulate, yung pinaka-sounds kung paano mag-spoken or magsalita. An oral language or vocal language is a language produced with a vocal tract, as opposed to the sign language, which is produced with the hand and face. Of course, kapag spoken, so ibig sabihin, sinasabi natin, sinasalita natin. Ngayon, we have a different spoken language. So like for us, Filipino, we know how to speak Tagalog in a right or articulate sound. Ano po ba yung articulate sound, ma'am? So magbibigay ako. Like for example, ng mga Bicolano, once na nagsalita sila, may iba silang sound or punto. So that is the articulate sound. So there's a lot pa. Like for example, in the other country, we have the articulate sound for Chinese. We have articulate sound for English. English in Canadian, African or African English, Canadian English, and so on and so forth. Merong different articulate sounds. Okay? And syempre, here, as opposed to a sign language, alam niyo naman yung mga sign language, di ba? Familiar naman kayo sa sign language, which is, sabi dito, pinoproduce ng face and hand. Did you know what, student? Even though in sign language, pwede kang magpakita na ikaw ay galit, ikaw ay malungkot, and so on and so forth, na nagagamit yan combination of face expression at the same time ng hand gestures na i-discuss ko kanina. So without verbal or non-verbal communication can communicate and talk to other people and share some story. Now, I will give you some examples ng mga articulate sounds. So I have here example of spoken language in Chinese-Mandarin. So paano nga ba articulate sounds nila? So I have here an example. In English, we say, what is your name? Or what is your name? So in Chinese-Mandarin, we use ni chao shimemense. Ulitin ko. Ni chao zimemense. So ibig sabihin, ganun sila magsalita. So makikita niyo yung difference sa articulate sounds ha. When we say in English, what is your name? In Chinese, ni chao shimemense. Okay? Next. So, syempre, sasagutin natin yan. In English, my name is Joyce Gusilator. So, in Chinese, we use we de ming xie xie, xiao ye shi gu xi la ta. Okay? So, that is how we pronounce or the articulate sound of Chinese Mandarin. So, in English, ulitin ko lang, my name is Joyce Gusilator. In Chinese, Wu Ji Ming Shi Shi, Xiao Yi Shi Gu Si La Ta. Okay, that is the difference of the articulate sounds. Okay, so now, anyways, yung Xiao Yi Shi Gu Si La Ta is my Chinese name. That's why I put it para makita ninyo yung difference. Okay, so this is the articulate sound in spoken language. Next. Example of sign language. Ano nga ba yung mga example ng sign language? Sign language are languages that use the visual manual modality to convey meaning. Sign language are expressed through manual articulation in combination with non-manual markers. Sign language are full-fledged natural language with their own grammar and lexicon. Okay, so syempre sa sign language, ito yung difference sa mga spoken. This one is ginagamitan natin ng natural language and meron silang sariling grammar. Okay? So kung paano nila i-express yung manual articulations nila na meron or kino-convine ng non-manual markers. So I have here an example of sign language. So when we say hello, so it means parang sumasalute. Pero look at the hands ha, hindi kayo pwedeng magsalute lang na look at the hands, yung difference ng hands natin. So dyan meron akong binibigay. The arrow is the movement. So imumove ninyo kung pasaan yung arrow. Next is the goodbye. So look at the arrow. So meron siyang up and down. So that how we do the goodbye when it comes to body or sign language rather. Next, nice to meet you. This is how we do the nice to meet you. Yung palm natin is parang magdidikit sila. So yan, meron dyang pinaka direction kung saan papunta yung kamay. And now when we say yes, this is how we do the yes. So, andyan din yung pinaka-arrow, up and down. And no, this is for no. And please, this is for please. And for thank you, this is for thank you. So, there's a lot of sign language na ginagamit for communication. So, these are lang yung pinili kong pinaka-basic na sign language. So, I hope you do it while nakikinig kayo sa akin. So it will help you for another knowledge na magigain niyo sa subject na to. Okay? So this is all about the sign language. Now, we have the written language. Kung may sign language, we have the written. When we say written, written language is the representation of spoken or gestural language by means of writing system. Writing language is an invention that must be taught to children who will pick up spoken language or written or sign language by exposure even if they are not formally instructed. So written language, I have here an example. So these are the example of a written language. So we have evolution of written language bago tayo magkaroon talaga ng alphabet ngayon na ginagamit through our written. So before ginagamit natin yung Egyptian hieroglyphics. So makikita nyo sa picture yan. So ibig sabihin, yung mga ginodraw or sinusulat nila para sa noong panahong 4,300 BC that has a meaning. Okay, that is Egyptian. We have cuneiform. I know you are familiar with cuneiform because this is one of your topics sa prelim. Na 3000 BC, ito nakikita niyo sa picture yung itsura ng cuneiform before. This is the written language. Changji Chinese characters, yan, 2650 BC, ganyan ang mga alphabets before na naging Greek alphabet 730 BC. Yan, papunta na tayo sa pinaka-alphabet talaga natin ngayon. Old English, Latin. So as you can see, the Greek alphabet or the Old English Latin alphabet is meron yan ngayon sa word or sa font faces natin or the font faces na ginagamit. Cursive, script, so yan. US ASCII binary. So I know this one, ma-encounter nyo yan sa darating na topics ninyo. So hintayin nyo na yung topics nyo na yan ha, the binary. Next is internet memes or memes, which is now, ayan, meron na or present na ngayon nating nararanasan or nagagawa. Okay? So these are the written language examples. So meron din yung evolution. So bago tayo dumating kung paano nga ba tayo magsulat ngayon, which is yung kinasanayan na natin ngayon. Before kasi sa mga bato, sa mga clays or so on and so forth, sila nagsusulat at nagpapahayag ng gusto nilang sabihin or isulat. Now, we have the right to write in a paper with a good ball pen and so on and so forth. So that is the evolution of written language. Okay? Next is appearance and our online presence. Appearance, our choice of clothing, hairstyle, and other appearance factors are also considered a means of nonverbal communication. Research in color psychology has demonstrated that different color can evoke different moods. Appearance can also alter psychological reactions, judgment, and interpretation. So based on the clothes, kung paano ka manamit, kung paano yung hairstyle mo, especially sa makeup, kung anong color ng lipstick mo everyday, it means meron kang gustong sabihin. Sabi nga dito, color psychology na merong sinasabi. Yung mga different color na sinusuot natin may meaning. Kung ang iba't ibang kulay ng bulaklak ay may meaning, of course, sa pananamit, sa makeup, at sa pag-aayos din natin, ay meron tayong gustong ipahayag or gustong meaning sa mga appearance natin. Okay? So this next, digital body language includes both how you communicate on video calls as well as through written communications like emails. Research show that truly orally 60% to 80% of our face-to-face communication is non-verbal language such as a pacing, pausing, gesture, and so digital body language. So ito yung mga online communications, online classes, and so on and so forth. So now, how can you do the positive body language through appearance and our online presence? Next, communication right. Communication right is the freedom of opinion, expression, and language. Enables people to realize other human rights, including the right to work, education, or right to education, right to marry, right to found a family, right to own property, right to self-determination, and freedom of religion and society. Communicate right. Paano ka nga ba magbibigay ng freedom of opinion and especially expression and language? So now, that is open because of the human rights. So sabi nga dito, ini-include na lahat. For the human rights, merong karapatan ang tao na magtrabaho, mag-aral, magpakasal at bumuo ng sariling pamilya at magkaroon ng sariling property at magkaroon ng determinasyon. May kalayaan din ang tao na mamili ng religion at social security na gusto nila. Okay? We have the communicate right. So, of course, we have the right to say what we want to say na hindi naman makakaapekto doon sa taong ating kakausapin. Kasi we have the rights na we have the freedom. Sa mga schools nga, we have the freedom wall. Pero sometimes you have to encourage yourself not to say bad things to other person or people so that hindi kayo or hindi sila, kayo at sila magkakaroon ng alitan. Okay? So, freedom of all things. We have to communicate right. So next, listening. Being a good listener is one of the best ways to be a good communicator. Good listening skills means that you're able to hear emotions and unspoken meaning. Good listener let the speaker know how they've been heard. Listening attentively involves eye contact, posture, facial expression, gestures, and genuine interest by truly listening to what the other people or person is saying, asking clarifying question and appraising what the person say to ensure understanding. We will focus on two types of active listening or listening, active listening and reflective listening. So students, paano ba natin makikita sa expression ng isang tao na siya ay nakikinig talaga sa atin? Nakikinig sa mga rants, nakikinig sa mga lessons, nakikinig sa lahat ng bagay na gusto mong sabihin sa kanya. This is how we sure that someone is truly listening to us for the eye contact, posture, facial expression, and of course the gesture. You know what, student? When I'm talking to one person, I need to have eye contact with them so that I know that they are able and willing to listen to all of my sayings and to all of my rants. Kapag alam kong hindi nakatingin sa akin yung isang tao, normally hindi ko talaga tinutuloy yung kwento kasi feeling ko hindi sila good listener or ayaw nilang pakinggan yung mga sasabihin ko. So that is for me. I know you have your own types of different way on how you can know that the person you're talking to is willing to listen to all of your stories. Okay, now let's proceed first for the two types of listening. So we have the active listening. Ano nga ba si active listening? People with good active listening skills show the respect for the speaker. They don't make judgment and they empathize with the speaker. They concentrate on what is being said and pay attention to the speaker's manner and about the language. It is important to just listen and not think about how you are going to respond, and a nod of the head or a and or saying I see or that's interesting gives the speaker some encouragement. Okay, so when you are a active listening, so hindi mo naman kailangan magbigay ng opinion mo sa sinasabi niya. All you have to do is to just listen, look at his or her eyes, and saying or doing nod and agree. So ito nga, binigyan ko kayo ng mga some agrees, respond. So we say, like for example, nagkikwento ako, now, syempre, naiintindihan niyo yung kwento ko and you're going to say, okay, I see. That's interesting. So, hindi mo naman kailangan magbigay ng sarili mong opinion base sa kinikwento niya. Kasi ang pagkikwento niya, like for example, is hindi naman patanong. Gusto niya lang talaga magkwento at mag-share sa'yo. Ngayon, isip mo wala ka naman dapat sabihin kasi hindi ka naman niya tinatanong para makita at malaman na isa kang active listening, you're doing the nod, yung parang tumatango-tango ka, ibig sabihin na iintindihan mo. I know some of you do this when in school, hearing a lessons, and some, like for example, nakikinig ka sa sinasabi ng nanay mo, tumatango-tango ka, at nagkikwento ang kaibigan mo, tumatango-tango ka kasi nagkakaroon kayo ng interest sa isa't isa at nagigets mo yung sinasabi niya. And then, nagre-response ka na, okay, talaga, di nga. So like for example, is that then you are a active listening. Next, active listening is a practice of preparing to listen, observing what verbal and nonverbal messages are being sent, and then providing appropriate feedback for the sake of showing attentiveness to the message being presented. This is a form of listening convey a mutual understanding between speaker and listener. Now, ang active listening daw or listener is a type of person who prepared just to listen and of course just to observe what the people or person nakaharap mo at nagkukwento. Of course, you need to observe yung mga non-verbal and verbal message na sinasabi niya. Siyempre, when she asks you or he asks you a questions, kailangan magsalita ka at kailangan yung sasagot mo sa kanya is related dun sa tanong niya. Kasi kung hindi, then you are not an active listener. When you're active listener, once she or he asks a questions about sa topic or sa sinabi niya, so like for example, this is the scenario, your friend is, sabi ng nanay ko, ang pangit daw ng suot ko ngayon. Pangit ba suot ko ngayon? And then of course, you're going to answer. Kapag hindi mo nasagot, at malayo ang naisagot mo, ibig sabihin hindi ka nakikinig. Now, para naman magbigay ka at malaman niya na ikaw ay attentive listener, supporting ka, syempre magsasalita ka at magsasagot ka na, hindi, ang ganda nga ng suot mo ngayon. So that is how you become an active listener, nakikinig ka sa mga sinasabi niya, and you're showing your attentiveness. Okay? Next. Active listening skill, attitude. This is listen to understand, not to reply. Don't judge, focus on the conversation. Next, behavior, what you say. Ask open-ended question, paraphrase and summarize, clarify when needed. Behavior, how you say it. Don't interrupt, talk less, and listen more. Slow down and tolerate silence. Observe body language. Use the own body language to show that you are listen. So like for example, in church, syempre there was a priest lang naman na nagsasalita kapag nag-homily na. So no one talk, no one give their feedback or something. So we're just nod and we laugh at the same time once the priest is nagpapatawa or nag-share ng bagay na nakakatawa. Diba? So we are active listening when we are in the church. Okay? Next. Reflective listening. So when say you are a reflective listener, involves listening actively and using words to encourage the speaker to continue. It is very useful technique if someone is getting upset about topic. Reflective listening allows the speaker to have the listener place themselves in the speaker's position, because reflective listening is about repeating back the words that are heard. In this case, paraphrasing is a useful tool. So when we say paraphrasing, ito yung mga inuulit. So have you ever watched any pageant? So, like for example, magbibigay ako ng questions. Magbigay ng 3 katangian bakit isa kang mabuting estudyante ng ICC. That is my questions. When we use the reflective listening or the paraphrasing tool, this is how we answer. Ang 3 katangian ko bilang isang mabuting mag-aaral ng ICC, una, blah, blah, blah. Pangalawa, so on and so forth. At pangatlo, example. Okay? So, pinaparaphrase natin. Inuulit natin yung tanong. Magbigay ng 3 katangian. Bakit ang online class ay maganda? Ang 3 katangian, bakit ang online class ay maganda? Una, magsasabi ka ng reason. Pangalawa, reason. Pangatlo, reason and I. Thank you. Pinaparaphrase natin yung questions. Okay? That is the reflective listening. So, reflective listening, we have affirm contact, communicate attentiveness, provide reassurance and expression thoughts and feeling or feelings, clarify the implicit, bring out unspoken but evident thoughts and feelings, builds greater awareness. And next, paraphrasing reflects back to speaker what has been heard, assures accuracy, builds empathy, openness, and acceptance. Reflect core feelings, restate important thoughts and feelings, exercise caution, danger, and overacting. Okay, this is the reflective listening. So
I hope there's something today in our class, and thank you for watching, listening students. See you on our next meeting. Bye.